devotees are there, and nice to have you all here with us, taking your valuable and precious time. More valuable than money, believe it or not, is time. And because money, you can always get it back, get more. But time, once you spend 1 second, is lost and gone forever. So therefore, what valuable way to spend your time this morning? Maybe not as valuable because I'm sort of here speaking, but because I'm going to try to repeat what Srila Prabhupada has said, then it is most valuable. So like that. And also Domi, beautiful, wonderful to see you joining in, signing in, and hope that you're doing well. Hare Krishna. So we'll start by reciting the invocation. Everyone can chant together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading from the 11th canto. Wonderful that we are in the 11th canto and reading such advanced scriptures together, and reading chapter 2. This chapter is entitled Maharaj Nimi Meets the 9 Yogendras. And today we're reading text 11, so 11 to 11. So can please repeat. Shri Nardo Vacha Samyagita Vyavasitam Bhavata Sattvatarshavaha Yat Prichase Bhagavatam Dharmam Stvam Vishwabhavanam Shri Nardo Vacha. Narada Muni said, Samyak, correctly, etat, this, Vyavasitam, determined, Bhavata, by you, Sattvata Rishabha, like Rishabh. Oh, best of the Sattvata clan, Yat, because Prichase, you are asking about Bhagavatam Dharman, duties toward the Supreme Lord. Tvam, you, Vishwabhavanam, which can purify the entire universe. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Narada said, O best of the Sattvatas, you have quite correctly asked about the eternal duty of the living entity toward the Supreme Lord. Such devotional service to the Lord is so potent that its performance can purify the entire universe. Quite a bold and amazing statement being made here by Srila Narada Muni. So we'll read through the purport. A similar statement was made by Sri Shukadev Goswami in the first verse of the second canto when he congratulated Parikshit Maharaj for asking about Krishna. Varyanisha te prashna krito loka hitam ripa atmavatsamata pumshan shrotavyadishu ya paraha. My dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. Similarly, Srila Sutta Goswami congratulated the inquiring sages of Naimisharanya in the following words. Munaya saroprishtoham bhavadbir lokamangalam yakrita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. And that's from the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-5. Narada will now answer Vasudev's inquiry about the process of devotional service. Later, at the end of their conversation, he will reply to Vasudev's comments about Vasudev's own faulty intentions. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, disciples of Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Gena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So before I begin, I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas. I pray that you see fit to bestow your mercy upon me so that I can speak something relevant and bona fide from the pages of this most exalted scripture, the Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, begging blessings from His Grace Adi Purush Paru, who's here, Angel Paru, who's here, and all the assembled Vaishnavas who are on the call. Hare Krishna. Only by the mercy of Vaishnavas is anything possible, so I'm therefore seeking your blessings. Okay, so as I was reading through and preparing this verse, I realized that how exciting and wonderful it is to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was reminded of a wonderful way that I love to read the Bhagavatam, which is that whenever Srila Prabhupada will cite or quote a specific verse, to then cross-reference and go back to where that verse is to dive in deeper. And I over the years when studying, I just kind of have this revelation that the Bhagavatam has all these sort of secret portals and doors and windows and gates that if you just follow, you can actually become completely absorbed, lost, and ecstatic just from reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey, and hopefully we'll have a really nice time. The first thing that stood out to me was a word that Srila Prabhupada uses, which, which is a translation. Narada Muni is using the word to refer to Vasudev, the father of Vasudev, Krishna. So it's such a Sanskrit language is so subtle that the father is a short a, Vasudev, and the son, Krishna, his name is Vasudev. So like that, Sri Narada Muni, he refers to Vasudev as the best of the Sattvatas. And I was thinking, oh, I haven't heard that before. That's interesting, the Sattvatas. So where is this coming from? And I looked, and of course, there are actually quite a number of shlokas in which the lineage is given, and we see that actually the clan that Vasudeva is coming from, the Yadavas, he is there's a lineage that dates all the way back to a king named Satvata, and he is actually a prominent descendant of the Yadava king Kroshtu, which makes it a branch of the Yadu dynasty. Satvata had several notable sons, of which one of them is, they are Vrishni, Andika, and Mahabhoja, whose descendants formed allied clans, all collectively referred to as the Sattvatas or the Yadavas. Also interesting that the term Sattvata can also mean a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, or refer to the sattva gun, the quality of goodness or purity. So this highlights the spiritual significance of the lineage, which is dedicated to worship of Krishna, or the Supreme Lord. So he's referring to him as the best of the sattvatas. And he says, you quite correctly asked about the eternal duty of the living entity toward the Supreme Lord. So here we also have another very valuable and important point, that Narada Muni is being very encouraging and stating and helping us to understand how the sadhus are pleased. And how are they pleased? They're pleased by inquiry. They're pleased by questions that pertain to the welfare or the benefit of all, and therefore it has direct relation to Krishna. So he says, in answer to the question, is that such devotional service to the Supreme Lord is so potent that its performance can purify the entire universe. So this is amazing to think that actually just by the performance of devotional service, the entire universe is benefited and the entire universe can be purified. So we may think, well, I mean, that maybe that is true for a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. And we see that Srila Prabhupada actually sometimes referred to as Jagat Guru, although I don't think Srila Prabhupada personally appreciated that, nor did he encourage the chanting of Jagat Guru. Like sometimes we say, Jaya Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada. But I think he actually told the devotees not to chant that. But anyway, but sometimes he is referred to the Guru of the entire universe. So Srila Prabhupada, this verse in the song, it says, may your fame be spread all over the three worlds. So Srila Prabhupada is such an exalted person that by the performance of his devotional service, certainly the entire universe has been purified. But that means Srila Prabhupada also wanted to make devotees who could also perform pure devotional service and assist in purifying the entire universe. So it's not that the lineage stops at Srila Prabhupada, it's that it continues, and all of us should take up the service and perform devotional service in such a way that others around us are benefited. And in that way, many hands makes light work, and the entire universe can certainly be purified by the performance of devotional service. We hear in the 7th canto, in the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj, after he requested from Lord Nrsingadev to just please deliver my father, Lord Nrsingadev explains that your father's already delivered. It's simply by the performance of your devotional service, you've delivered so many generations in the past and so many generations in the future. There are different statements. Some say 7 in the past, 7 in the future. Some say 21 generations. Whatever it is, many generations can be delivered. So actually, the most beneficial thing for us, our families, our friends, relatives, is the performance of devotional service, because in this way, so many people can be liberated, benefited, and achieve the ultimate goal, even unknowingly, simply by the performance of our devotional service. So as we enter into the purport, the first statement is that a similar statement was made by Srila Shukadev Goswami in the first verse of the second canto when he congratulated Parikshit Maharaj. And so I thought, well, let's go to this verse and see what Shukadev Goswami has. So what was it? It was the first verse of the second canto. So here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Second canto, first verse. Yeah. Okay. So here we see, if you can see it on the board, and those who are here in Tipram. We read this already. It's quoted in the purport. Sri Shukadev Goswami says, "My dear king, your question is glorious." So once again, it's being reiterated again and again, affirmed again and again, how important it is that we have questions, and we asked and posed those questions to the sadhus. So he says it's glorious because it's beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that even the very question is so nice that it is the best subject matter for hearing. Simply by such questioning and hearing, one can achieve the highest perfectional stage of life. So sometimes other yoga practices give us so many different yamas and niyamas and difficult aspects of things that we need to do, but actually here Srila Prabhupada and the acharyas are boiling it down to just simply hearing and chanting about Krishna. One can achieve the highest perfectional stage. Because Lord Krishna is the original Supreme Person, any question about him is original and perfect. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the highest perfection of life is to achieve the transcendental loving service of Krishna. Because questions and answers about Krishna elevate one to that transcendental position. The questions of Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna philosophy are greatly glorified. Maharaj Parikshit wanted to absorb his mind completely in Krishna, and such absorption can be effected simply by hearing about the uncommon activities of Krishna. For instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that simply by understanding the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna's appearance, disappearance, and activities, one can immediately return home back to Godhead and never come back to the miserable condition of material existence. That is the verse, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatudha chaktva deham punarjanma naiti ma meti so Arjuna. It is very auspicious, therefore, to hear always about Krishna. So Maharaj Parikshit requested Shukadev to narrate the activities of Krishna so that he could engage his mind in Krishna. The activities of Krishna are non-different from Krishna himself. As long as one is engaged in hearing such transcendental activities of Krishna, he remains aloof from the conditioned life of material existence. The topics of Lord Krishna are so auspicious that they purify the speaker, they purify the hearer, and the inquirer. They are compared to the Ganges waters which flow from the toe of Lord Krishna. Wherever the Ganges waters go, they purify the land and the person who bathes in them. Similarly, Krishna Katha, or the topics of Krishna, are so pure that wherever they are spoken, the place, the hearer, the inquirer, the speaker, and all concerned are purified. So it's amazing to just go into the purport and hear what Srila Prabhupada has to say, unpacking even more this whole topic. And so many points could come from this purport, just that Krishna is non-different from his name, non-different from his pastimes. By hearing about Krishna, we are connecting with Krishna, we are relating to Krishna, we are becoming absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and this is the perfection of the use of our consciousness, vibrating, kata, A conversation about Krishna is the perfection of the use of the tongue. Hearing about Krishna is the perfection of the use of the ears. Seeing the pictures of Krishna, seeing the deity of Krishna, perfection of use of the eyes. So like this, we can see that just by engaging in this hearing and chanting process, asking questions about Krishna, we are achieving the perfection of life by associating directly with Krishna. So we go back to the previous purport, which was 11 to 11. And we look and see what else is brought up here. So then the translation of the purport goes on to quote another statement from the first canto, second chapter, text number 5, where Sutta Goswami inquires, is congratulated the inquiring sages of Naimisharanya. So the verse we just read actually is the first statement of Shukadev Goswami, actually, the first verse of the second canto. And actually, it's interesting. I wanted to go back to that. That was the second canto, first chapter. Here we go. So if we go backwards, then we enter into the end of the first canto, 19th chapter, text 39. And we can see, what was that question? What was that question? Why is it that Shukadev Goswami is congratulating Parikshit Maharaj? What was the question that he asked? So we see here in verse 38 of chapter 19 that Parikshit Maharaj says, please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all of this to me. So this is the question that Parikshit has, or the petition that he's put forward. Please inform me what I should be doing. Now, we have to remember also the scene is that Parikshit Maharaj only has 7 days to live, and he could be doing anything. He's such a powerful king, but instead he's gone to the bank of the Ganga and he's meditating, fasting until death, waiting, looking for some answers to these questions. And when Shukadev Goswami appears, when he manifests himself in that assembly of exalted persons, because everybody knew if Parikshit Maharaj is going to sit here on the bank of the Ganga waiting for some answers in deep meditation and prayer to the Supreme Lord, something amazing is going to happen. And that energy attracted all of these sadhus and great saintly persons who assembled there around Parikshit Maharaj. And then Shukadev Goswami enters. And when he enters, everyone recognizes his exalted nature, his exalted state, understanding that this is the person who has been sent specifically to instruct Parikshit Maharaj. And everyone stands up, offers him pranams, offers obeisances. He sits, and Parikshit Maharaj immediately begins extolling his glories and offering prayers to him, and then mentions this point. Basically, I am on the verge of death, and I just want to know what I should be doing with my life. I've spent so much of my life doing so many other things. What is it that I should hear? What is it that I should chant? Whom should I worship? What should I remember? And what should I not do? Please explain all this to me. So then, let's see if we can move to the next one. Text 39. Parikshit Maharaj continues and he says, "Oh, powerful Brahmin, it is said that you hardly stay in the houses of men long enough to milk a cow." So this is basically your nature, is that you don't usually stick around for very long, but I need you to stick around for 7 days. So please stick around and speak to me. So like that, we can go back now that we have the understanding of what that conversation was all about and the question. We will go back to 11 to 11. And remember, the next verse that's quoted in the purport is taking us to the first canto, second chapter, text number 5. And this is a conversation between Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya. So if we go to that 1, 2, 5, I think this, I touched that, take me there, perfect. So that verse, famous, Muniyo Saru Prishno Ham Babadbir Loka Mangalam Yakrita Krishna Samprashno Yenatma Suprasidati. Completely pleased. You will become completely pleased. So just by asking questions about the Supreme Lord, and hearing the answers, making this inquiry, you will become completely pleased. And then this purport is just such an amazing purport. And it also opens up the whole point about the principle of questions and answers. So going to the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, the whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, beasts, and men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. And in the evening, also, the same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being, unless he is fast asleep at night, is busy with questions and answers. The businessmen and the market are busy with questions and answers. And so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the schools and colleges. The legislators in the parliament are also busy with questions and answers. And the politicians and the press representatives are all busy with questions and answers. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are still not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers. Thank you, Mike. I'm loving your enthusiasm. So grateful to you. Yes, questions and answers, but not any old bleep questions and answers. Questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. Haribo. So Prabhupada carries on in the purport. Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father, or son, and the object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. Who here is looking for complete satisfaction? Yes, absolutely. All things but Krishna. All things but Krishna. All things but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So, if we are to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. Haribol. We cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving some answers, because the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna. We can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. One should learn the Srimad Bhagavatam and make an all-around solution to all problems pertaining to social, political, or religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. So the ultimate answer to the ultimate question is, what is the goal of this life? And the answer to that question is Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate goal. So like that, again, a wonderful purport that for me, it's like if I hadn't followed that verse and gone and checked what Prabhupada had to say about that verse, then I would have never got all those questions and answers about Krishna. So it's just such a delightful journey. So now let's go back to 11 and see what else is stated in the purport. So now we've got a very good understanding of why Narada Muni is first explaining to Vasudeva, the best of the Sattvatas, that you've quite correctly asked about the eternal duty of the living entity. Such devotional service to the Lord is so potent. And again, being highlighted in the purport is Shukadev Goswami glorifying Parikshit Maharaj for his wonderful questions and preparing himself to give amazing answers about Krishna. Exactly. And Sutta Goswami congratulating all the sages of Naimisharanya, represented by Shaunaka Rishi, and saying to them that I have been justly questioned by you, and your questions are worthy because they relate to the Lord. So now we're seeing the importance of these proper questions and answers. So then it says, Narada will now answer Vasudev's inquiry about the process of devotional service. And he's going to do that through a pastime that he relates, that he was either present for or heard of a conversation between the 9 Yogendras, who are the sons of King Rishabdev, and King Nemi. So just like a great saintly person, you know, as soon as he hears a good question, he's like, oh, I have heard from authority. So his answers are always on the foundation of the acharyas, on the foundation of the predecessors, on the foundation of what he has heard. Not that he says, I think, or, well, it's my opinion. Prabhupada says in the first canto that the Munis, of course, we know Narada is also considered Narada Muni, but he mentions that the Munis, that they like to just sit around and speculate who has the best speculation of what the ultimate supreme goal is. Well, I think it's like this. Well, the other day I thought it was like that. But actually, all of this is just simply a waste of time. Prabhupada says you can speculate for thousands and thousands of lifetimes and never really achieve the supreme goal. So let's see. Now, interesting point. The purport continues and it says later, at the end of their conversation, meaning the conversation between Narada and Vasudeva, he, meaning Narada Muni, will reply to Vasudev's comments about Vasudev's own faulty intentions. So then, wow, we open just that little statement at the end of the purport, which almost seems insignificant, for me is like this massive portal of inquiry. It opens up so many questions and answers, yes. So the point being that actually Vasudeva opens this dialogue by expressing that he made a mistake by not wanting to be liberated because he wanted to have a child, and then he desired to have Krishna as his child. So Narada Muni is going to tell this 5 chapters of pastime, which also goes to show that the devotees of the Lord, they could talk forever. They could talk for hours about Krishna. They could just go on and on. I know sometimes I was on yatra with my Guru Maharaj in India, sitting in the beating sun on the bank of Govardhan Hill, and he was talking 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. My head is baking. My brain is cooking. I'm so thirsty, so hungry. And I'm like, can we please go home? And Maharaj was like, shall I continue? And everyone says, Haribo! And I'm like, oh my God. Just showing the taste of the pure devotee compared to the neophyte. So anyway, at the end of this, and I don't want to, it's a bit of a spoiler alert, but we're not going to get to it for about like 2 months or something. But anyway, Narada Muni explains to Vasudeva, you are a pure devotee. Your desire to have Krishna as your son was not a mistake at all. The mistake was in thinking that you should have been liberated instead of desiring to have Krishna as your son. You've achieved perfection because Krishna was born in your family, and you've achieved the perfection of life in this way. And he says, actually, your life is already perfect. Anyway, I could go on, but we should open it up for some questions and answers. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we have about a few minutes. I also have to break a little early because I have to get back on the altar. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any questions? Okay, no one online. Oh, wait a minute. We have Devaki Priti, baby. I'm not sure why Rick Letzer, his screen seems to be on.
Devaki Priti, followed by Min.
Thank you.
Naimisharanya Forest here.
Hare Krishna.
Devaki Priti, please, go ahead.
Hear you is on mute.
Krishna, thank you so much for your class. I don't have a question, but I just feel so inspired and enlivened, and I really appreciate what you shared today.
Oh God, she went. Lost you, Devaki. Wow.
She's enthusiastic.
She is enthusiastic. Okay, we lost you, Devaki, but we got that you are inspired by Srila Prabhupada's purports. Haribo! Hare Krishna. Thank you. And Min?
Hey Krishna, good morning. Thank you for the class. So we heard in the purport that we look to Srimad Bhagavatam for all the answers to the problems of social and political problems. I was wondering what would be the best way, or how do we know that we're not hearing Bhagavatam and in a way that sort of somehow fulfills our political agendas to persuade others according to their interests.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat back and you please let me know if I've understood you correctly. So your question is, we seem to hear that Bhagavatam is the answer basically to all questions, political, social, religious, like that. So how do we know in our process of studying the Bhagavatam that we're not misinterpreting or interpreting the answers that we think we're finding for our own sort of political viewpoint, or to endorse someone else's political viewpoint, or convince others of that perspective? Is that
Yes, perfect.
the question?
Yes.
So of course, I was fortunate to be with His Holiness Jai Maharaj the other day. By the way, yesterday was his Vyas Puja day, so all glories to His Holiness Jai Maharaj. And he made a statement. Because I gave class in Brooklyn, and we were talking on some point, and one devotee said, well, if you read it, it would seem like it's like this. But then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains it differently. And he says, yes, this is why we have guru, because we may conjecture or propose or speculate or think that something is a certain way. But we should always value being in check, meaning we should always value getting a second opinion from someone else, checking, am I thinking in the right way? Or if someone is speaking to us and it's like, okay, I can see that and I accept that and that makes sense. And we have 3 specific checks in our lineage of the practice of bhakti, which is guru, sadhu, and shastra. So we should always make sure that these line up when there is some point. And if we're trying to, and of course, it is stated that you can find points in the Bhagavatam to prove almost any angle of vision or angle or perspective. So of course, some people use statements out of context, or someone might go to you might go to the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and say that actually it says right here, Krishna says it, that we should all sit on kusha grass mats, we should leave the cities, we should go to the forest, we should sit on a deer skin, the platform should be this raised, we should meditate on the tip of our nose. The Bhagavad Gita says that, and that's what we should do. But if you don't have the clear understanding of the context and the point and the purpose, that actually Krishna is explaining all of that to tell Arjuna that there's no way that you can even do that. You're not even capable of doing that. And that's not what will please me the most. Anyway, yogi nam api sarvesham. The topmost yogis, they just surrender to me. So like that. So we can take things out of context, but you could try to prove any point from any angle, but it should always be in check. If we're an honest person, then we should try to check and make sure, have I understood this correctly? Is that correct? Or if we have some doubt, even of what maybe one sadhu has brought up a point, and then it's okay if we can check that. Another sadhu may have a different perspective. We may hear Srila Prabhupada say in a lecture something else that kind of makes it go, oh, now I understand that in correct context. I don't know if that answers your question, Min, but
Thank you very much.
thank you. Ishwari Sundari Devi, and then Paula Devi, and we have literally 1 or 2 minutes. Haribo Ishwari Sundari Devi.
Haribo. Great class. Thank you so much. Question for you. So I don't know if this has happened to other people, but I know it surely happened to me. I was raised at home with more than one faith, but I went to a Roman Catholic school most of my life up into college. And when you go to a sermon or any class, religious class, there is never like, does anyone have any questions? It's more like you take it as it is. And if you asked a question, it was offensive. Like it's almost like you're doubting. So
Yeah.
really questions were not encouraged. So I grew up with a lot of questions and doubts or like, and it wasn't until I took my first community class at the Bhakti Center many years ago that I was like, oh, wow, we could ask questions. And it actually are answers, especially getting to chapter 15, it was really special for me. And then I was like, oh, wow. But there's still this part of me that whenever I do have a question or, like a doubt or something, like I'm afraid to ask. I pull back and say, no, I'm going to be embarrassed by whoever's giving the class, or maybe I don't have the right questions, or maybe it sounds like I'm doubting Krishna. So is there any recommendation you have for getting past that? Because it's really paralyzing sometimes, honestly.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, of course, if we prevent people from asking questions, we can stay in control and just force people to listen. But Srila Prabhupada, I remember one of the first lectures I heard, Srila Prabhupada said, we do not want blind faith. We encourage our students to ask questions and to relieve that doubt, to dispel the doubt that they have. So I would say that, because we create habits, we have to undo the habits. So now you know that it's okay and completely cool to ask questions, and it's very important. And actually, the goal of life is questions and answers. Come on, Mike, you were meant to chime in there. But so basically, I would say in order to overcome that you start asking your questions. Don't hold them back. Don't suppress them. Put them out there and see what kind of answers you get back. And then that will start to break that cycle or that habit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paula, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to go now. We have to go for darshan. So Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki jai.
Jai Nitai Prabhu ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Sorry?
Devotees.
Yes, there's Adi Purushpa has asked me to inform you that there is an afterglow. If you have questions, you can ask them there.
Who's answering the question, Jai Nitai Prabhu? Who's the next Acharya?
It's the same Acharya that's always there, I guess.
Okay. Okay, Adi Purusha Prabhu, we heard it.
Oh, I thought that was you, Prabhu.
Oh, me?
No,
No.
sorry, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm Das Anudas.
Great.
I teach by bad example.
That's why you're the Acharya. Right on, reverence, by His grace, one can cross from material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from His lotus mouth. Attachment to His lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From Him ecstatic prema emanates, and by Him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of His character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us, and give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet.
Thank you, Jai Nitai Prabhu. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Vasudev Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Afterglow. Paula Devi, please ask your question. Jamuna Jaya is here. She's taken off her gloves. She's ready to take it.
This is Paula Davy. This is Bhima.
Gosh.
I named
This is
Paula
Ajay.
Paula Davy because she has to be a goddess in order to hang with me.
And who are you, Bhima Dev?
Yeah, Bhima Deva.
Okay, Bhima.
That's how I live. Anyways, I'd just like to answer, well, like talk about what Min talked about and also what Prabhu talked about, Jai Nitai talked about in regards to, can we have like, can you just remind me just very briefly what Min's question was so that I can more center my response? Because
Yeah, I could ask again. Thank you. It's how do we hear from Bhagavatam? Because Prabhupada says in many purports, not just the one we heard today, that Bhagavatam has answers to the problems that we face in politics, social issues, and religion. And I really asked the question because one of the devotees that I've been hearing from for a while has been, to my mind, sort of speaking from the Bhagavatam and our scriptural text to speak about political issues that are, that we're faced with now. And I just don't know how to feel about it. So I was just wondering what would be the best way to hear the Bhagavatam or share Bhagavatam and not really just sort of speak about our agendas, political agendas, to maybe persuade others.
well, we see that in the Bhagavatam. This is from what I learned by reading the Bhagavatam, especially, believe it or not, Krishna book. That Krishna, that all these political and social malapropisms or illnesses are due to a list of the delusions of man. And those delusions of man and his pride and his avarice and his duplicity and his greed and his anger and his lust are all represented at given times. Are all represented at given times in the Bhagavatam. So what we learn is when we listen to the Bhagavatam, we see that this problem with man, Nityabhada, and when I say man, I mean the ego, because the ego wants to be male and or in control, or the Purusha. So what the problem is that in time it develops, it gets wrapped up in these things, the sins, the things that cut us off: anger, lust, greed, avarice, and illusion. And that's present in our society, and that's present in our politics, and it's going to increase, and it's going to increase until Krishna says, okay, everybody out of the pool, okay, because this party's over. So in the meantime, what we can do is to present Krishna consciousness at like a beautiful snare, a beautiful temptation through the veil of materialism. Like, oh, you like pretty things? Come and see the garland. Look at this garland I got. You have to be very, you have to care as much as the other person, because that's ultimately the only way you're going to share. It's not going to be by philosophical discourse or defeating them philosophically. It's just not going to work. You're not going to, your mind is not going to conquer them, because that's your mind, our minds do not want to be conquered by Krishna. So how does Krishna conquer us? Well, he conquers us with the beauty of what Srila Prabhupada brought us in this movement. The beauty of the love that's shared between the devotees, the beauty of the idea that our very sustenance is the mercy of God. How is that? Because I waved some incense and chamras? No, because it was made and offered in love. So being that we are actually Nitya Siddha, or eternal servants of God, one is remember, in all those times in Krishna book, when those demons came representing certain things, Putana, false guru, false teacher, was one of the first. The cart demon, Rikasho, I might get them mixed up for the names, but it was baggage coming into Krishna consciousness with baggage. So Krishna, as a baby, will kick that cart over. It'll be toppled. And there Krishna will be revealed beneath the cart of your baggage. So all these things are there in the Bhagavatam, and we learn them to be deep, and we learn that Krishna comes and performs his pastimes to, number one, have a good time, and number two, give pleasure to his devotees. How does he do that? By showing us that we have nothing to fear, that he will take care of everything, so that when you do talk to someone about Krishna consciousness, allow Krishna to do the talking from within them as well. Listen to where they're at, listen to what they're talking about, and not so much grab the wheel from them and steer the conversation over into the philosophy, but introduce them, bring them prasad. It's actually magic. Let them, no man is a prophet in his own home. So sometimes it takes another person. Adi has a story about that. For years, he was trying to convince his siblings, and they were always contrary because it's brothers and sisters. We're not going to listen to our little brother. But once they met, I think his sister met the devotees, another Mataji, all of a sudden she was in. She was like favorable, like just all of a sudden. I've had that experience in my life with my kith and kin. So we let Krishna do the work as he did in Vrindavan against the demons that blind us to him, which would be lust, avarice, duplicity, all represented by each of those demons in Krishna book. So that's the connection of Krishna book, Krishna's magic, and how he works in our lives, and how if we simply introduce the beauty of Krishna consciousness, which is basically bhakti, which is, in other words, love, loving kindness, compassion, and a serving nature, then they will be convinced by our example. So it's very important not to start talking about Parikshit Maharaj or Putana, the witch, in front of somebody who's never even heard. That's actually offensive. Anybody's ever heard, but it's nice to introduce ourselves as a gentle nature, vegan, offers my food. Krishna will poke them, will rib them in the heart a little bit and say, you looking for an answer? Well, here, and he'll literally turn them to you. I've seen it happen many times, especially on book distribution, of course, to other devotees, not to me. So I hope I wasn't too extensive there, but you have to trust that Krishna's, if you're with Krishna, then Krishna will get you to the right side of the battlefield. He's the one that has the reins. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I just been it's been on my mind because I wasn't really sure. I'm not really sure how to understand devotees lectures and series of lectures when it surrounds the current day politics and really drawing from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita
You
to
don't have to do anything. It's the same as it ever was. Okay, just say it's the same as it ever was. We've been going through this. We've got Kamsas in control right now. Kamsas have always been in control. Materialists, men who hate God, because they want the world and they want it now. And and it's the same as it ever was. Hiranyakashipu, love of gold and soft beds. I mean, come on. I mean, that's what's going on right now. There it is in a nutshell. And then you say to them, yeah, I don't have time to concentrate on this mundaneness. I want to go sublime. Come and chant Hare Krishna with me. Come to this night of kirtan. What's kirtan? We just dance and we sing, and sometimes we dance. And it's, just come and, have a good time, and then that's when Krishna whispers in their ears and says, you're mine, and, how we, the Bhagavatam rests assured that Krishna will come to the rescue on his great white horse, even in Kali Yuga.
It's interesting. I was sharing with Adi the other day, like the distinct sense I had at the prasadam distribution or after that, because I felt so elated. So that day I was trying to figure out why is it so elating? Why did it make me so like happy? And the comment that Prabhupada makes in the preface of Srimad Bhagavatam like clearly came to my mind, where he says, and he's there referring specifically to Bhagavatam, but he says that there's a need for humanity needs friendship and peace and prosperity, and that Bhagavatam could give that. And I kind of felt like at the prasadam distribution, it felt like that it was way to get there. And it's interesting because Bhagavatam is filled with philosophy, theology, but I guess most of all, love of God, love of Krishna. So
And
in
love of thy neighbor, which is
yeah,
Adi's mission underneath it all. Give them prashadam and they will come.
yeah,
Right? And they will
yeah,
come. The first thing is to make the connection. Then they're like, hey, you're giving me food, and I'm not only giving you food, I'm giving you my love for the moment, my attention for the moment. They feel that. That's basic need. And then over time they lose their defenses and give their vulnerabilities, and so many people, so many guests that have visited us have come and felt what you felt, and they will forever remember Krishna consciousness of as being a loving religion. And when it comes time when they're exhausted with the mundane infatuations, as you mentioned earlier about today's politics, it's the same as it ever was. Let's do something about it. Where do I start? With yourself. And that's when you end up looking for the science of who am I? Self-realization. Then you realize, oh, yeah, they were happy. They were serving out food, and they liked all religions, and there was Buddha, and there was Krishna, and there was Jesus, and all on the same wall. And isn't that what it's all about? And they know what the truth is. So anyways, yeah, so apply that Bhagavatam in the simplest of forms. Understand that this stuff has always been going on, and it will go on into the future, and our only job is to bring in Krishna into it.
yeah. Thank you, Prabhupada. It's making me think of what Prabhupada says in Nectar of Instruction, where he speaks about bhakti as it's just not a just sentimental feeling, but practical action. So yeah, thank you. I'm just thinking a lot about how does hearing the Bhagavatam translates into practical actions that's dedicated to God. But thank you so much.
Thank you, dear devotees. This is overtime. Please be brief. Krishna Kumari has her hand raised.
Radhe, Radhe. We're ending Kartik soon, so it just feels important to actually talk about seva, to wrap it up talking about seva. It's like when you offer something, some love, some action, and you're not expecting anything in return, you get this gift, to see people happy receiving prasadam. It's beautiful. And yeah, Min, I just thought, like, you did ask the question two different ways, and they're totally different conversations. The second time you asked, I would say you're allowed as a student to tell somebody you're hearing from, oh, I'm not really interested in politics. I really want to hear about Krishna. And then in the first realm, I think Krishna is talking to each of us. Every one of us reads the same verse, and we're having this personal relationship with Krishna through the Bhagavatam, through the Bhagavad Gita, because it is him. And we're getting what we need. And maybe somebody really needs to make action in their neighborhood, like, because it is elections today. I'm also thinking about it, but it's out of what I need and my connection to Krishna and my actions, my next right action. And it's very personal. So, I think it does make sense that we hear different things at different times and different messages, because Krishna is personal and we are all having our own individual relationship with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna Kumari. Would anyone else like to speak on this subject? Very important question by Min. How do we view modern politics through the eyes of Shastra? What do we make of it? Adipusha Prabhu, he has a nice point that he always shares in this regard. Would you like to say it, Adipusha Prabhu? Who are you voting for? Just let's put it straight. Who are you voting for?
I'm explained it very clearly that it's experiential, not just theoretical. Does it? We were talking to this Muslim man the other day, and he said that thing that they always say: "Trust in God, but tie your camel to the tree." As an application to our part of our effort. I have a story, but I don't think there's much time.
It's 8:20. Maybe you can tell the story briefly.
I'll try to do it quickly. I was bringing some flowers to the Bhakti Center, and this man was coming out, kind of an elderly man, and I said to him, "Hare Krishna," and he just kind of hesitatingly said, "Hare Hare 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 Krishna." I said, "Oh, did you go to a program here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you like it?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you get a book?" He said, "No." I said, "Okay, well, anyway." He went outside the Bhakti Center, and there were these two couples coming along the sidewalk. And they looked at the Bhakti Center, and they looked at him coming out, and they said, "What is this place?" I told you this story, right? No? They said, "What is this place?" So I was listening because I was right inside the door, and I was thinking, now what did he actually understand by being here? So he said, "Well, it's Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna." So they all laughed, and they said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, it's a mantra. You chant this mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna." And they laughed again. And they said, "Well, then what happens?" He said, "Well, then you give them your money." And they all laughed when he said that. You just give them their money after you chant Hare Krishna. So they said, "Well, what do they do with the money?" He said, "Well, they make a building where you can come and chant Hare Krishna and give them the money." That was his whole take. Religion. You go there, you chant, then you give them the money, and they make a building where you can chant and give them the money. So I came out, I was like, well, there's a little bit to it than that. And there was a police car, and my car was triple parked. There's a police car with the lights on right behind my car. So I ran out and told the cops, I'm going to move the car. And then I ran back with a couple of books. So the two couples, there was an older couple and a younger couple. So I said, here's a book for you. This is about love of God. It's about filling your life with the service of God. He said, oh, I got one of those books years ago. I said, did you read it? He said, no. I went to the younger couple and I gave the girl the book. I said, oh, I got one of those at a concert years ago. I said, did you read it? She said, no. Oh, well, where are you guys from? They said, we're from Ohio. I said, oh, really? Where are you staying? They said, that's the thing. We have a place around the corner, but we need a place for 2 more days and they don't have any rooms. So I said, well, we have a place to stay right around the corner. So they came in and they got 2 rooms for 2 days. They paid Lakshmi for them. And then they heard about the prasad distribution. So they came out for prasad distribution. And they were like so fired up. I couldn't believe it. They came out to feed the homeless. And the guy said, I have a whole other take on the Hare Krishna movement. It's about love. It's about giving. It's about service. It's not about getting money. Can I give you a donation? They had already paid like $280 each for rooms, and then he gave a donation on top of that willingly because he experienced giving Krishna consciousness to others. And of course, they took prasadam. Anyway, that's a quick story. All glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you. And can you tie it to Min's question, Adipurshapa, if possible?
Okay.
Can you tie your story to Min's question?
But what do you say about politics? And people were saying, well, you can talk theoretically or they could be experiential, when they see that, like my sister came, she always kept Krishna consciousness at arm's length, and then it was like 25 years of that, and then one day she came to the Bhakti Center and she met Champakalata Mataji at the front door, and she told me, I just talked to that girl for 2 minutes and all my reservations about Krishna consciousness went away. And I thought, well, this is something, look at this person. So who you are and prasadam, or just the fact that you're gentle and loving and patient and open, and even a dog can tell if you're coming to attack him or if you're afraid of him or if you're, you know, greeting him with affection. So people see that in us. No matter what the philosophy is, they see, well, this is a nice guy. I don't know what one of the Hells Angels, he used to tell me, I like you. I don't know why I like you. I don't like anybody. But I like you.
Could we hear the question again, just to
Men,
get more clarity?
about politics, mundane politics and the Bhagavatam, because sometimes we hear things like, oh, see, Bhagavatam says this, therefore this politician is on the right side and that politician on the wrong side, according to the Bhagavatam. Can we really say it like that? Can we put Bhagavatam in the context of modern politics and say that one, oh, this is Hiranyakashipu, and this politician opposing him is basically Haridas Thakur? Can we say things like that? I hope that was mean. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we hear a lot how how Bhagavatam is being put in context of modern politics, and we draw conclusions.
Annabelle has something to read to us and show us a picture of Radha and Krishna that she drew. If you look at Annabelle's picture there. Oh, no, that's Yasoda Mai tying up Krishna.
Very good. Very good drawing, Annabelle. Thank you for sharing. All right, Krishna.
I have something to share. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I audible? If the first teachings of Bhagavad Gita and when we come to Krishna consciousness, we talk about self-realization, but it's I'm not the body. I'm the soul. And so as we relate to this concept, even in our own life, are we really contemplating that, like, wow, I'm not this body, I'm the soul. I'm a little spark of Krishna. And Krishna's made of, he's love, and I'm this little spark of love. And so when we also look into the political sense, are these politicians, are they thinking, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. I'm doing, I need to have some type of spiritual agenda, as well as trying to make things better for people. But if they're not understanding that they're not the body, they're the soul, they're going to be struck with fear, and because everyone's who's believing they're just the body is under a lot of fear. Even if they have billions of dollars, they're afraid it's going to be taken away, and they won't have security. So if somebody is actually understanding that, they will be a balanced politician. Somebody, from Mars Yudhisthira, that's who I'm voting for. But when there's just complete materialistic understanding, one is not God conscious, and one can be a Christian and have some understanding that, yeah, they are a soul. But analyze from there. And we should also analyze in our life, am I really focusing on my projection in life from I'm not the body, I'm a soul? And our projection will be different if we're seeing I'm a soul. I'm not this material cage.
Thank you, Maternath Prabhu. We have Bhima Prabhu raising his hand. Very briefly, Bhima Prabhu. Who are you voting for? Can you hear us, Bhima Prabhu?
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine, Babru Das. He said somebody came up to him at some kind of event where he was doing book distribution. He goes, "All I want to know is who you voting for." And he says, "I'm voting for Krishna." So there you go, man. Krishna's part of the political scene. He literally is part of the political scene. Don't worry, he'll take care of things. And you just make sure you're on the right side. The right side is a compassionate side. So if there's violence and genocide going on in the world, proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, then you stand on the right side of that and be on the right side of history and be in Krishna's army. Okay? So that's how you find out what to do. How does Krishna see this? He gave every chance to Duryodhana, every chance. Duryodhana wanted to throw Krishna in jail. That's how bad the devil is. He wants to throw God in jail. So that's how you handle the politics. Get on Krishna's side and get ready to fight. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. That was the answer I was looking for. When they try to frame you, who are you voting for? And give you false choices.
Hello?
Prabhupada and Krishna. Adipusha, when I tried to frame him in 2016, when everything was getting very polarizing, I asked Adipusha Prabhu, he was typing on the computer or something. I asked him, so Adipusha Prabhu, who are you voting for? There were two candidates and it was very fierce battle. And he looked at me so innocently and said, I'm voting for Prabhupada. I vote every day for Prabhupada.
Well,
That,
I just wanted to say I have an answer, just like Krishna told Arjuna that in this case you have to fight. Pray to Krishna. If Krishna wants you to stay out of that political arena, you stay out. If he wants you to join in, then join in. Just pray, and Krishna will give you the answer.
thank you, Angela Prabhu. Praying to Krishna will never be a wrong answer. And there's one more thing that I wanted to share very briefly. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj is talking about diplomacy, about this viewpoint where you have friends and you have enemies. And this is what Hiranyakashipu wanted him to master in school, this art of diplomacy. Who's my friend, who's my enemy? So essentially politics. And Prahlad Maharaj, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he said, we do not take sides. We don't have friends or enemies. Materially speaking, we do not take sides. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport says that diplomacy is not what we engage in as devotees. Good morning. You too. So I hope I'm going to reread that passage in Srimad Bhagavatam where Shri Prahlad is explaining diplomacy in politics, essentially saying that we don't take part in, we don't take sides materially. Because Maturnath Prabhu said, well, you're not the body, then this answers 99% of the question. And I hope this helps men. And Nitai Chand, Prabhu, would you like to speak on this?
Krishna told Arjuna to take a side.
Yeah, but that was spiritual.
Yeah, so
Coming from Krishna.
Prabhu, everything is spiritual.
one of the questions is how we should use the Bhagavatam to view what's going on in our world.
Yeah.
And you've heard this purity is the force and utility is the principle, and these are actually kind of as you heard me before, these are actually tensions. These are like for example, when Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati discouraged the whole Gandhi thing. He said, we actually need the purity. We need to spread the transcendental message of Lord Chaitanya. But however, later on, Srila Prabhupada gave an instruction that seems to be on the other side. When he met with Giriraj Swami, the question came up, how will the movement succeed in the future? And Giriraj Swami answered sincerity, which is purity. And Prabhupada said, no, intelligence, organization. So this is kind of a spectrum that is there, that is mirrored in different ways. And we can't just have a formula like, I'm a devotee, therefore I don't get involved in anything worldly. We always have to become daksha. We have to become expert. In Bhagavad Gita it says, yoga karmashu koshalam. It is it's skill in action, meaning that we have to not just have a kind of a blind formula, but rather it's very dynamic. Sometimes our spiritual life means to be engaged in something, like Arjuna, worldly engaged. Sometimes spiritual life means I become disengaged. I join the ashram. it's very dynamic, and it requires both, as the question, what's her name was saying earlier about doubt. It's doubt is like the brake. We have to use a little bit of brake. We have to ask questions. We have to, uh, and faith is like gas. If we just have gas, we just step on the gas all the way. We're just sentimental or fanatic. Then we will, run ourselves off the cliff. And if we just have crippling doubt, it's like a brake. Then we won't do anything. We won't make any kind of progress. So we have both of these things: this tension of faith and doubt, or as Prabhupada said, religion and science or philosophy. Religion without philosophy is sentiment or fanaticism. Philosophy without religion, or practicality without the kind of idealism, is just speculation. Meaning we need both the kind of spiritual purity, and we need to use a kind of a spiritual intelligence. And so there's not necessarily a formula. I don't engage in anything that's seemingly material. It may at one point it may be like Lord Chaitanya. He engaged in the protest movement of against Kazi. He was engaged in a protest. He didn't just say, let's just purely chant inside the home and let everything become changed. So there was some kind of pragmatic side, but he also, like as we mentioned, Prabhupada, he was discouraged from the protest of the Gandhi movement. There was not enough purity. There was not enough transcendence in that movement. So the idea is that, it's not just a formula. Rather, it's very dynamic.
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out. It's very, very helpful.
And always remember, Lord Chaitanya eventually was sitting on the Kazi's chest, going to rip his heart out in the form of Lord Nrsingadev. So there's there is a time and a place. There's a time for love. There's a time for hate. There's a time for war. There's a time for peace. Krishna, you just got to let Krishna lead. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, thank you so much for pointing out that the criteria of our action is always Krishna consciousness and devotional service, and it may change externally. The circumstances may be different. It's like, I like the analogy that Adipusha Prabhu once used when explaining this point, and he said, a Vaishnava is like water. You put water in a bottle, and it assumes the shape of the water, but the essence will be water. I mean, the shape of the bottle, but the essence will remain the same, water. When you put them in a square bottle, it becomes square. So externally, it may manifest differently, but the criteria by which we judge and act is always whether it's good for my service, whether it's what was the always reject anything that is not favorable to your bhakti and accept anything that is favorable to your bhakti. So that's the criteria. The criteria is not external. I hope I got it right. Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, thank you.
Yes.
Adipusha Prabhu.
Rameshwara Prabhu. He asked Prabhupada, well, you said that Krishna consciousness is going to prevail. I mean, how's it going to be? We're going to make so many devotees that we get to vote devotees into the executive position, or will we take up guns, or what? I mean, how is it going to be political pressure or military pressure? Or Prabhupada said, no, none of those things. It's kind of like a groundswell. He said that just preach. Everything will be there if we just present and share Krishna consciousness. The books are going out. In 1974, we'd already distributed 38 million books in this country. Those books are out there. The Harinam is going on every day. The Prasadam distribution is going on. People are coming to the temples. And he said gradually, by a groundswell, people will desire to have good leadership, people with good character and leadership, and then it will prevail. So just he said our weapons are glove jamin, books, the holy name. We just keep putting this out, and it is affecting the world. This verse today said that just our sitting in this class is purifying the whole world. That's hard.
Yeah, sitting in this class is like getting hit upside the head with a glove drumming.
The analogy breaks down somewhere along the line, but the point is that what we're doing is effective, and it has a cumulative effect. And Krishna's working. Adantarasta Paramanocha is within and between every atom, and he's within every heart, and he's effortlessly floating the planets in space. So let's just do what we've been asked to do: distribute.
And we also have to have faith that the truth does the work. The truth does the work.
Krishna, yeah.
And not us. We're not doing the work. We just lay down the truth. We just share it. But it's the truth that's doing the work inside them, not us.
Right.
So once we realize that all we got to do is deliver the goods,
Right.
in the form of our behavior, like Adi Parush, this food distribution. Okay, I'm going to show the first premise of religion: kindness and compassion. Right, and then the second one, faith that this prasadam will change you from the inside. You know, these are the heavy duty, profound principles. It's also very simple.
One old homeless man came up to the table, and there was some guests distributing, and he said to the guests, "You know, I read in the book. I read in the book," and I was thinking, "Oh my God, he read in the book that if you chant the holy name of the Lord, it can purify the whole block, maybe 2 blocks." So apparently, he got something, piece of information there. Hello? I think my phone died.
Ananda Bihari just
We
got
can
blown
hear
off the
you.
block.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Tell us another story, since there seems to be no host anymore. He probably got tackled by Ram.
We have so many stories.
Hare Krishna, I got distracted. I got a phone call. Did I miss any nectar? As always, I always do.
We're talking about how the holy name can purify a whole block if heard with the mridanga and Harinam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada once said, one tulsi leaf offered to Krishna with love and devotion is more helpful than the whole United Nations with all these conferences and declarations and reports and commissions. One tulsi leaf. Okay. Has everyone sufficiently glorified Krishna to their heart satisfaction? I see Mathuranath Prabhu clearly has.
Adi has another story here. Look what I was doing while you were saying offering Krishna Tulsi leaf.
There you go. Krishna miracle.
It was what I was offering while you were saying that. Adi, tell us another story. Tell us some Leela. Come on.
The basic thing is that if we're engaged in devotional service, just like a lighted candle, if it comes in touch with another candle that's not lit, it can be lit, and in the interface, we're meant to interface with people. So what Krishna's given us is the holy name and prasadam distribution and books, and when we have guests staying right with us, just like we had a retired police chief from Minnesota, and when he came in the door to check in, he was with his wife, who's a yoga teacher, and I heard him turn around to his wife like this and go, "It's the Harry Kramers." The Harry Kramers. He couldn't even say Krishna, but he picked up on the fact that we're devotees, and obviously it was a little bit derogatory, and maybe even fearful. But he stayed with us, and then he came out and helped to distribute Krishna's prasadam, and he came back and he brought other people. He's been back about 10 times. But the thing is, if we come in contact with them, if we come in contact with a person of faith, and we hear a little bit about them, and we see how they're conducting their life, they see we're working hard, they see we're living simply, and they get it. And they are drawn up into the...
Maybe it was the same police chief that threw Bhima in jail and tortured him with sausages. You never know.
I'm just contemplating along this that in our service, in preaching, sharing. If we hear Nityananda Prabhu saying that purity is the force. So there's also I'm seeing a responsibility for us when we are really trying to understand our relationship with Krishna, not just trying to give others a relationship with Krishna, but at this really focusing on am I trying to come to a place of attachment for Krishna. We gotta come into being steady and then attachment. And so when people sense that purity too, it's very attractive. They go, wow, there's something special about this person. So we got to do our own homework. We got to do our own study and homework and deep contemplation and talk to Krishna, pray to Krishna. Krishna, help me. Help me in this process. Help me to love you. Help me to be attached to you. Help me to serve you. Help me with everything. We need Krishna for everything. So when there's that level of sincerity, Krishna reciprocates. He says, I'm reciprocating with everyone. And then people pick up on I want what he has. So that's purity is the force starts with us.
Thank you, Materna, for purity starts at home. That's my takeaway. Okay, Krishna. Annabelle, beautiful drawing. Beautiful. What inspired you to make it? You don't know? Krishna in the heart, maybe?
Mostly I didn't learn.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Annabelle, can you recite the Maha Mantra? And Isaiah, please help her. The whole mantra as loud as you can.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. See, they have purity, they have the force, they have utility, they have the books, they have everything. Thank you, Annabelle and Isaiah. Thank you very much. Okay, dear devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please forgive our offenses and thank you for your association. Hare Krishna.